I think the enemy would love nothing more than creative people and people with leadership skills and desires to lead and wonderful ideas in their hearts and souls to be bogged down, and for our gifts to become very mundane and heavy, as opposed to us waking up and saying, I get to do this.
Hey friends, I'm Whitney Putnam and welcome to the Global Leadership Podcast. I'm really glad that you're here. This month, we're talking all about creativity and innovation, and I have such a treat for you today because creativity isn't just about talent. It's about vulnerability. It's about resilience, and honestly, it's about the courage to keep telling the truth even when it would be easier not to. Today's guest is someone who has lived that journey in a very, very public way. He's used his craft to explore identity, faith, family, and what it looks like to keep showing up, especially when life gets hard. Before we jump in, quick favor, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You have influence right where you are. And here at the Global Leadership Network and on this podcast, our heart is to help you steward that influence well. We don't want you to miss these honest, very practical conversations with leaders who are making a difference at work, at home, in their communities, and beyond. All right, let's get into today's episode. Today, we're joined by songwriter and artist Walker Hayes. Walker is a Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter whose music blends humor, heart, and honesty in a way that resonates with people all over the world. But beyond the charts and accolades, Walker is also a creator who has navigated profound loss, career uncertainty, and personal transformation, and has chosen to let those experiences shape his art. What makes Walker's story so incredibly compelling is his willingness to create from the middle, like right in the middle of real life. He doesn't separate creativity from pain, faith, or family. He weaves them together. And in doing so, he offers such a powerful example of what it looks like to lead and create with authenticity. Our president and CEO, David Ashcraft, recently sat down with Walker for a conversation about creativity, resilience, and the inner life of a creator. Along the way, they talk about the cost of honesty, the role of faith in the creative process, and what it means to keep making meaningful work when the path forward is not clear. You guys, this conversation is thoughtful, extremely honest, and deeply meaningful. Let's get right into it.
Hey, Walker, so good to have you here with us today. Thanks for taking time.
Hey, thanks for having me, David. So good to see you.
I want to talk about creativity because, again, you've got leaders that are having to write talks, they're having to cast vision, they're having to persuade donors or inspire teams. And so everybody's coming up with and trying to be creative in their presentations to people. And that's essentially what you have to do as a songwriter. You're always having to be creative. And so can you give us a little glimpse behind your creative process, or how do you go about writing a song? How long does it take you to write a song? Give us an idea of what that looks like.
Well, I mean, I honestly, David, this is how bad it is. It can be damaging to my relationship with my wife and my children and my, friends, how often I am focused on finding the next song idea.
Is that right?
I am constantly searching for what I would like to express or say. I'm constantly searching my emotions, going, are they real? Are they not? Are they worth writing a song about them? But my friend Craig, his wife, Laura, said something that helps me in my creative process. And this went back when I became a believer, and I thought, well, how am I supposed to do this for the Lord? Write song. I don't even write Christian music, and she just said, say it, just let it be as worship. God gave you the ability to write songs. He also gave you a love for rhyming words and sitting with friends or by yourself and putting these ideas and thoughts in little file cabinets of songs, and that allows me to wake up with more gratitude, a whole lot more purpose, because no longer if it's worse, if I'm actively thinking, today I get to worship you, Lord, with the gifts you've given me and be with people and create with people and write songs. I'm not just trying to impress people.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
I'm
good.
trying I'm trying to let the Lord shine through me with the little windows he's given me. But as far as the logistics of the process, I'm a
Yeah,
word
are there
guy.
lessons you've learned along the way, or
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm constantly learning what I'm good at and what I need to rely on other people for, which is very helpful. I think a lot of really talented people can focus too much on what their weaknesses are and not delegate or ask for others' help. I'm lyrics. I am lyric. God gave me a lyrical brain and a love for language, words, cultivating them into lines and rhyming them. Melodies aren't my thing. And it took
really?
me a long time to just step back and go, hey, I need to ask somebody for help on this. They can do that. They can help me with the melody.
So
And
do you write the words first and then you find the melody?
I am a words first person. Yes.
Interesting.
I,
Okay.
I almost, I think someone the other day, this was a comment. They said if you just read your lyrics, they're almost like a children's book. And I love that. I,
Yeah,
I, I love, love, love that, because I do desire for my stuff to be more conversational than poetic.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm learning each and every day, and the fun thing, one of the most fun things about creativity is that I don't think you ever master it, which is to me that's enjoyable. There's
yeah.
there's always somewhere to go, a place to improve or evolve, and that keeps it interesting.
Yeah, interesting. So, how do you know, as somebody that has had to write sermons for 40 years, and so
Oh
every week you've
wow,
got to
can't
come up with
imagine.
a new talk, how do you know when a song is done? We haven't, most of us had ever written a song, and so, but we have written many messages or many talks. How do you know when it's done or good enough or the creative process is done? And you're ready to release it. You said you wrote Fancy Like in 2 hours. And so, I mean, do you find yourself wishing you go back and just change that one word or that one
Ah,
thought? Or are you always happy with it? Like, let's move on? Or,
well, I look, this is I don't know. Well, first off, I know when to I know when it's as done as I can personally get it.
yeah, you're
That
done. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? There
yeah,
there's just a feeling you get where you're like, I can't add to this statement, and that's but songs, and I would imagine like sermons, you probably pull them out again later and they're kind of liquid, you deliver them a little differently and you go,
yeah,
wow, that felt more powerful, or that really, this was special about it tonight. And so
yeah,
songs kind of, if I dare say, they're a little alive, they're kind of liquid, and they
okay,
and they
interesting.
hit they hit different at different times of just eternity, the
Yeah.
world. And
Which is probably what drives you to and makes it possible to keep singing the same songs. Because, I mean, everybody's going to want to hear a Fancy Like every time they hear you, I assume. And so that probably keeps it fresh for you and doing the same thing.
totally. And
Yeah,
honestly, a lot of people say, do you get tired of singing your songs? And I do not.
that's cool.
They're even Fancy Like, I'm so fascinated, by the power of creativity, by how, those writers, we all had separate lives and our parents had separate lives, and we came to that little room like a fireplace, and then we left with like not a new being, but we left with a new creation from the creation that already existed. And man, Fancy Like has it's impacted people as a memory, like how they remember someone they've lost. It's been very joyful, it's been at weddings and
Yeah.
families have shared it. So I've really kind of the Lord has shown himself to me in the power of a song, as light as that
Right.
song is. I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
my
that's great. That's
family,
cool.
we have stood back and gone, wow, music matters to the Lord. It touches people in a way that is its own thing. It's been pretty amazing.
So let me play off of that one.
Yeah,
Music does impact people with a soul. I mean, it's always fascinating to me. And so, as somebody that has preached thousands of times,
right.
nobody remembers most of my messages, but they'll
I
remember a
I don't
song or
know.
they'll remember a lyric from a song. And so sometimes you're almost jealous, going, "Man, I've said that, but he said it better in the song, and they remember that." And so anyway, what impact do you think? Why is it the music's so powerful to the soul? And when you write, are you aware of that? And do you think about that?
Yes, I think one thing is just the power of musical notes,
Okay.
and vibrations. I think that envelops words, and sometimes, if wrapped in the right musical bed, a lyric is just you can't run from it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
and you die. It's like if you watch a movie without music, there's something
Different experience.
you're missing something,
Yeah.
So maybe you should have someone playing a symphony around your sermon, But I think too, one thing too about music is that it allow you can write songs that are very long, but you can also just be very you can say so much without saying it with sounds and pictures.
Yeah.
So, I could write a song about a shoelace and you might cry. Like it might evoke emotion,
Yeah.
but you also have your mind has a shoelace to go to. You picture
Yeah.
this like
That detail.
disheveled, dirty, tied and knot shoelace, and it I don't know, it's almost like an aroma.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I feel like I feel like a sermon would be much more difficult to write, for
You
sure.
know,
So I
you know
don't
what's
envy
harder,
your
Walker?
job.
You know what's harder? I mean, it's hard to come up with a 35 or 40-minute message. What's harder is to come up with a shorter one because then you
Mhm.
have to be more precise in your words. You have to think through it. You've got to be efficient with your words. And so then to think, okay, now I've got to put this down into a 3-minute song is just different. But have you ever written a song about a shoelace? Are you working on that? That's actually not a bad idea.
I'm not gonna lie, David. Just as I was talking to you, I in my brain I pictured a pair of high tops that I begged my mom for. Do you remember those All-Star Converse?
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
remember I remember when I was a kid, I was in like pre-K and I wouldn't let anybody tie my shoes because I was embarrassed to tell them that I didn't know how. So I would
Uh,
just take those shoelaces and twist them until they were in a knot. And I
interesting.
and I and that's how I tied my shoes. But you could easily put all of that I just said in a song about shoelaces.
Well, if you write one, just give me a little bit of credit for
Okay, hey, you're a
getting it after while we
co-writer.
were
You're a
talking.
co-writer.
Yeah, thank you. I
David
appreciate that.
Ashcraft, Walker Hayes, Laces.
So let's talk about setbacks because you've been real honest about challenges you faced in your life, Walker, and
Yes.
you talked about addiction and things like that. So, um, man, you showed up in Nashville early 2000s, right? But it wasn't until 2010 that you had kind of your first big hit. At least that's the timeline I was given. And so, how do you keep going in all of that? Because that's a lot of time to not experience the success or maybe the rejection and what kept you going?
Uh, simplestly put, um, I had no one around me ever acting like they didn't think I belonged, where I was. And by
Wow.
that, I mean my wife first and foremost, Lainey, She was never uncomfortable, with our financial situation. My children were always very, very encouraging. They when I would come home with a song, they would ask me to play it for them. Did I love it? Dad, how was your show? Lainey and the kids would always come out if I was playing locally or regularly. I always was surrounded by teams of people that supported me. Always invested their time and attention to what I was trying to do. Did I have a large number of people who did the opposite? Yes.
Mhm.
But as far as my circle in Nashville from 2004, it was small, and it's only grown since. So honestly, when I succeed in this industry, I really hope that the hundreds of people, that I've gathered as a family along this journey, I hope they know, I know that they're as excited as I am,
Yeah.
maybe more
Yeah.
excited. And so honestly, that's a huge part. But also, I've just never been one to, I'm just not a plan. I didn't plan any of this. I didn't plan. I've never really had my mind on these like lofty goals. I've definitely been given the gift of I love to write a song. I mean,
So even when you weren't writing hits, you were still writing songs, and you'd wake up
always, yeah.
and always be writing. Yeah.
Anytime I experience doubt
Yeah.
or frustration with my dream, the humorous thing is that I would write an idea about that on my hand with a pen at Costco. I
Yeah.
I would talk about it with my coworkers and say, "Hey, man, we need to write that. That's people feel that. Let's write that. And so, yeah, I've always had a song. Um, the Psalms that's my favorite book of the Bible, um, probably because of that. I love the roller coaster of David's Psalms.
Yeah.
One day he's on fire, and then the next it's like, how long, oh Lord, and you're like, well, David, I mean, he was talking to you in the last Psalm. He
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
go anywhere. But that's how I feel. And I've just always had a genuine passion for just writing a song. I'm the same way with people I meet. If anyone has a dream that's a little left of center, or not to follow the 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 most convenient, comfortable life, I'll dream with them all day, man. I
That's
mean,
cool.
let's
That's good.
let's go. It inspires me, to
Yeah.
talk with them.
Well, hey everybody, Eric here. Quick pause for just a second because I want to make sure that you know about something that could genuinely impact your team. Right now, we're offering our GLS Team Pass, and if you've ever thought about bringing your team to the Global Leadership Summit, this is the moment. When you purchase a Team Pass, that's 5 tickets to a local summit site, you save $200. And if you go with the Team Pass Plus, which is 6 or more tickets, you can save $300 or more. But honestly, the savings are just the bonus because the real win is experiencing leadership growth together. When your team hears the same content, processes it together, and applies it together, the impact multiplies. But listen, this deal ends March 26th. So do not wait. You can grab your team pass at globalleadership.org/summit. That's globalleadership.org/summit. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
So what would you say? It's interesting your persistence, I would say, to continue writing songs, even when it, at least from other people's perspective, may not have been successful initially. that's not all that different than what most of us face, where we're grinding it out
Hmm.
at jobs and nobody's noticing us, and it may not seem like there's success there in our lives. And yet, I think I've heard you talk, Walker, where even in spite of what would have seemed like a lack of success, you still felt there was joy in your life, there was joy in your family. What would you say to leaders or people that are going through that same thing where it's just not yet clicking, but maybe that's okay, huh?
Hmm. I think you would agree with this, David. And again, you know, it's it's funny. Before I answer this, I just want to let everybody know I am figuring life out, man. I am I'm not a John Maxwell. Maybe someday, but I want to say this with a degree of sensitivity, because it's much easier said than done what I'm about to say. But I hope it encourages people. Is that I think the enemy would love nothing more than creative people and people with leadership skills and desires to lead and wonderful ideas in their hearts and souls. I think he would love for us to be bogged down and for our gifts to become very mundane and heavy, as opposed to us waking up and saying, I get to do this. I get, you, David, I get the opportunity to speak to thousands of people this Sunday, and I want them to hear the gospel from me like I just heard it today. Like
Yeah,
it is
that's
the
cool.
best news. Like no one ever told me about this Jesus guy. And then bam, today I got it, and I just want to share it with you. And that's how I attempt. Again, this is not how I naturally wake up every
Yeah,
day,
yeah,
but I need to wake up every day and go, I get to go to Music City, this influential hub, and I get to sit with two, maybe three friends of mine, and we get to make music. That's how do you feed your kids? I write songs for a living. I get to sit here and wrestle this puzzle of thought in hopes that it might reach, someone out there to someday
yeah,
and make them feel less lonely. And I guess what I'm trying to say is just I think in our culture we surpass this gratitude that really should be
yeah,
outbursting from us each and every day, that we are in an opportunity to lead, that we are in a life where we can create. And I think that's kind of forgotten. I
yeah.
think it's
I
it's
guess,
easy for me. It's
yeah,
definitely easy for me to focus on what's not happening fast enough, how many songs aren't hits, that one person in the crowd that's not having fun.
yeah.
Um, I'm sure there's
Oh,
probably a
yeah,
person who sleeps in your church, and you're like, what in the world? And the enemy would love for your brain to sit on that,
so you see that in your crowds? I mean, it's amazing.
Oh,
You're right.
yes.
When you're preaching and somebody, you just happen to look and you think you just made a powerful point, and somebody either gets up and they walk out or they'll yawn, and you're like, oh my
Oh,
gosh. And yeah,
nightly. There's always yeah, and I think though again, that's the spiritual
yeah, interesting.
warfare going on. That's such a human thing
Yeah,
to see that one.
focus on the negative. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
and
funny. That's interesting.
and there's so much, there's just so many little things in life that the taste of coffee. I wake up and I look at a lake driving in, the sun, literally the feel of the sun on my shoulders. I woke up in a house with a roof over it. I mean,
Yeah,
I think I think our gratitude, our normal, it's pretty extraordinary. I mean,
yeah,
if you'll
it really
just
is.
stop for a second, and honestly, what a thrive. I mean, I feel that's the definition of thrive. Like when you're able to just see God,
Yeah,
in
that's cool.
everything. It's a pretty amazing way to live.
So Ruth and I just had our 3-year-old grandson with us for several days, and
Oh,
being with a 3-year-old makes you kind of experience what you're just saying.
that'll do it. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. To
yeah,
see the world through a 3-year-old's eyes.
yeah,
And like, David, I'm sure you, man, I see it in a new believer's eyes,
yeah,
man. When when I see a kid, on a team I coach or just anywhere, it's a
yeah.
kid that I don't even have anything to do with. When I see someone, um, just thinking about the Lord, I'm like, yeah, whoo, there it is.
That's cool.
I know that.
Yeah, exactly. So you keep talking about being a new believer, and I know it hasn't been a long time, but you've got a lot of maturity and you've got a lot of wisdom. So somebody's been in the Christian world, we call it discipling you. Somebody's been coaching you. Somebody's been helping you grow. Whoever it is, hats off to them because you've been
Ah,
growing and growing, and for not being a believer long, there's a lot of depth there. So I appreciate that in you very much. So good job to somebody,
well,
to you.
man, that's Craig Cooper,
Cool.
the
That's good.
the guy who, put my hand in Jesus's hand, and Ray Ortland is a very influential.
Good.
I listen to hours of that guy a day. His son Dane, man, I honestly I need to call both of them and just be like, hey, y'all have been father figures to me
Yeah.
without even knowing it.
Somebody's done well. So good job, and good job taking it in and learning and allowing God to change your life. Fun to see that. So Walker, we want to take just a few questions, but
Yeah.
just real quick, if people want to keep up with you and know where to kind of connect with you, where do they go?
So you can follow me on Instagram. My handle's just Walker Hayes. It might be official Walker Hayes, but you'll see me. And then
Yeah.
I have a website that my team does a really good job working on. But I actually do my own Instagram. So
Okay.
you just that's the best way to follow me and my
Yeah.
family.
Good. Okay. Cool. Tell us about, and Ruth told me before I did this, she should have ordered me one
All
of your
right.
hats. But it's duck buck, right? Is that what it is?
Yes, sir. We started a look, I'm not I'm such an old man. I'm a uniform guy. And I don't I'm not really into the fashion thing, and so I kind of started a clothing line. First, just what's easy, what's comfortable, and multifunctional, and
Yeah.
I love to do things outdoors, hunt, athleisure, stuff like that. And so we created a line. Our hats are popular. The rest of the clothes are also, but the hats have kind of
Yeah.
taken over this season. But there's women's, there's kids, there's all kinds of stuff. But Duck
That's
Buck
fun.
Co. Nothing is not uncomfortable. It's all very soft, breathable, dries fast. You will love it.
Do you have any quarter zips?
We actually do have a quarter. Are you a quarter
Well,
zip guy?
I'm a quarter zip guy, so I
We
need to get
do.
myself one.
That's actually a new thing for this fall line. We have some
That's going
cool
to be
new
your
stuff.
biggest seller then. I think
Let's
people are going to
go.
look for that.
Okay, let's
Yeah. Okay.
go.
Good. Very good. So, a couple questions that people are asking here, Walker. Betty asked, do your kids ever pitch lyrics to you? Have you ever used any of the lyrics that they've given to you?
Yes, yeah, that's a great question. Actually, my daughter Loxley, we were crossing the street about a month ago. We were just holding hands, walking around the neighborhood, and she said, "Dad, I have a song idea." And I said, "What is it?" And she said, "Well, I'm talking to a boy, and the idea is just because you have a tractor doesn't mean I'm attracted to you." And I was like, it's a smash. So yeah, they're coming on strong. My sons, they love music. My daughters do too. They're all great singers. They could all write lyrics all day. Pretty soon they will take over, I
Yeah.
believe,
That's
someday.
fun. That's good. Do you co-write songs? So I don't know that I know this. Do you co-write songs for other singers and they sing them and we just wouldn't know you were part of writing them?
I do. Yes, yes. I had a Christian on a song recently called "Oh Death" that I
Okay.
wrote with Mercy Me.
Okay.
I write a lot with another Christian group called Unspoken,
Okay.
and and I've had, um, I have a new song coming out with Kane Brown in the country space, and I have a few outside cuts
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
country world as well. So a couple rap ones as well. So yeah, I'll write for other artists as well. I love that.
Yeah. And you may have already answered that this next question that I had for you. Worship songs, but I think the way you said you approach all your songwriting, every song is kind of a worship song for you that you're writing now, or at least you're kind of focusing on God. But do you ever picture yourself writing worship songs that would be sung in churches?
Yes, I do. I think there's always a need, for that, just new, material that is honest,
Yeah.
and again can help, someone like me remove myself from the world and get out of my head in a
Yeah.
church service. There is Man, those types of songs they're answered prayers for me. So, people who aren't very interested in the worship or music part, they probably can't understand what I'm saying, but every now and then there's a song that truly takes me into the presence of the Lord, and it really prepares me
That's cool.
to hear a message, And so, yeah, what an honor. I mean, I would love me and an artist named Corey Asbury have talked
Yeah.
about writing some worship music. So
Yeah. Very
I would
cool.
love
That's
to be
great.
a part of that.
Yeah, that's very cool. Um, Walker, at the summit, you were real transparent about just issues, your journey with alcohol. And so and you've talked about, I want to say, was it 10, 13 years now, sobriety, being sober?
10 years this October. Yes, sir.
10 years. Way to go. That's fantastic. And that's exciting to hear that for you. As a musician, as a performer, then not only that history for you, but you're out performing. And I would have to imagine a lot of the times places you're performing, alcohol is very accessible. So I would have to think there's got to be that tendency to want another drink and that pull. So how do you hold back? What keeps you from giving in to that urge? And is there something specific that you kind of lean towards that keeps you from going there?
Yeah, yes. I'd say just tactically, I have asked my team to please watch out,
Okay.
for me, to protect, help. I would ask that we would all, especially my band, um, let us protect each other from ourselves as much as we can,
Yeah.
knowing where we've struggled in the past and where we would like, how we would like to improve. So I guess that's just accountability.
Yeah.
Honestly, David, the most dangerous zones for me are when I'm alone.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I would say if I'm in a hotel and life is heavy and all those voices are loud, the first thing I will say to myself is no one would know. And
Mm.
I know that when that sentence in some way, form, or fashion crosses my mind, that's some dangerous territory.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I try to be honest with Lainey, and say, hey, it just crossed my mind tonight, because, I quit a couple times in my 20s, but then I would go, I'm over that.
I can handle it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I realized that the cycle was as soon as you get there, it's over, it's over. Once you've seen, and again, that's just true on my knees dependence on the Lord. AA
Yeah.
calls it a higher power, but it's
Yeah.
Christ. It's the Lord. And so yeah, I have a lot of help from my team, and Lainey and I, we have struggled isn't even the word. It doesn't do it justice. I mean, I've known her since I was 17, and so we have battled addiction together. I have not
Mm.
been alone
Mm.
in that fight, and the Lord, has
Yeah.
taught it,
And Walker, I think I might have said this to you 2 weeks ago. The fact that Lainey has stuck it out with you
Yeah.
since you were 17. Says something
Crazy.
remarkable about both of you, but of her. So,
Yeah. She's crazier than me, is what I think it says. No, man. I could honestly, truly, I mean, Lainey and I, we have, we have something God given.
yeah, that's
It
cool.
is, I desire it, for my kids. It's never, it's one of the messiest things in my life, but one of the most beautiful. I absolutely love growing older with her. Um, and she has most definitely stuck with me through times and things that I wish I hadn't had to stick with me,
Yeah,
through.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, I got
Well,
a lot of gratitude for that woman, just that human in my life down
yeah,
here.
that's cool. And your comment about the hardest time, I think it's fascinating. We tend to be most worried at times that we think that we're going to be most tempted, like when you're out playing in an atmosphere where there's lots of alcohol around you, and we tend to think, oh, that's going to be the hardest time. But it's those alone times when you're by yourself. And I think it's cool that you recognize that. And we'll definitely continue to pray for you
Yeah,
as you experience those things. Walker, thank you for the time.
dude, thank
I,
you.
I love talking with you. I feel like I could talk all night and enjoy just visiting with you. Appreciate your honesty. Way to go for the way you're growing in your faith. It's pretty remarkable, I think, for the way God is working in your life, but also the way God is using you. And you may be the next John Maxwell. Who knows? We'll watch and see what
Well,
happens. But
if I am, you have to book me for the summit, man.
we will have you for the summit
That's
as a
awesome.
speaker and talking about leadership. Yeah, that would be
That's
good.
awesome.
That would be real good. And, Walker, thank you. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, David. See you, man.
One thing Walker shared that really stayed with me was this idea that even before his success, even before the hits, before everything changed for him, he genuinely loved writing songs. He enjoyed the process. Even when he wasn't a hit artist, he was still creating, still using his gifts, still showing up. And yes, becoming wildly successful changed a lot for him. But what struck me was this: Walker found that his deepest joy wasn't actually in the outcome, it was in the process itself. I'm just going to say that again. He found that his deepest joy wasn't in the outcome, it was in the process itself. That feels like such an important reminder for us as leaders, because if we're honest, we can become incredibly goal oriented. We focus on the promotion or the growth or the finish line or the next big win. And somewhere along the way, we forget that the process, the daily work, the small steps, the showing up is where the joy actually lives. Because that's where life is happening. That's where growth happens. And honestly, that's where we experience God too, remembering that He is with us through it all, not just at the destination. So here's a simple question for you this week. Where might you need to stop rushing toward the outcome and start enjoying the process again? Your leadership isn't just about where you're going. It's about who you're becoming along the way. If this conversation encouraged you, please take a moment to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you listen. It really does help more leaders find these conversations. Thanks for being here. And remember, everyone has influence, so lead where you are.